Alright, so someone asked me if I could look at their model really quick and check it for errors. So I'm going to do that, and I do apologize for the bad audio. All of my mics have broken. It's probably actually just the audio jack in my computer. Later problems. Alright, so here's the model. First thing I'm going to do is just run a quick ngon search on it, which for some reason is being a little bit weird, but if you go to Mesh, Clean Up, and do Select Matching Polygons, and then this faces with more than 4 sides, basically ngons, hit Apply, and you can see it's flagged some stuff, but I have a feeling that's like this other stuff I've checked out here. Normally, if there's any ngons, it'll just like select the faces with ngons. But for some reason it's not doing that, and I know it's not because like down here, this is a giant ngon, so usually that works. Don't know why it's not this time, but yeah. So there's a few ngons. It's going to cause some weird stuff when smoothing. As you can see here, that looks pretty janky. Apart from that, I'm just going to run through and look at all these individual pieces. So a lot of times when I'm looking to sort of fix a mesh, I will smooth it because it's going to show you, like, you know, this area in here. It's doing some weird stuff. Like anywhere that it doesn't smooth smoothly, you can see that there is probably some kind of mesh error. So in this case, it looks like there's something happening in here. So I'm going to spin myself into the model, and there's a hole in the model. And it looks like everything is touching, but when I smooth it, you can see that there's, again, some weird smoothing happening, which is probably just because these look like they're connected, but they're actually not. So you can see I can grab one and move it away from the other one. So on this whole mesh, it looks like that was happening a few other places. I'm going to do a edit mesh, merge, and that's going to merge everything within this distance threshold. So if there's, in this case, vertices basically on top of each other, it's going to attach them together. So if I smooth this now, you can see that it's doing much better. There is still like a little hole in here. I'm just append that closed pretty quickly with mesh tools, append polygon, and do this one while I'm at it. And you can see that now that area there is closed. So up here, it seems like it does appear that there is an ngon, or not. That is not an ngon, it's just a weird looking face. Alright. Interesting. So I would hazard a guess that perhaps these are not connected together, or something. Try some random things, see what happens. Interesting. Alright, so this is like one of those weird cases where, oh, because that's an ngon. Right. Alright, so let me just go into my multi-cut tool and see what happens if I do this. Nothing good, per se, but I just want to see if I can smooth that out. It is strange. Every once in a while I will get some kind of like weird mesh error like that, and usually I find it easier. I'm just going to go redo this. A lot of times I'll just sort of go in and delete the geometry and re-add it, and sometimes that will help. Good lord. Multi-cut. Alright, that's awful. So I think maybe that I know what was happening, and it might have been, there might have been like a tiny fake gap in there that like wasn't really a gap, but either way, I'm just gonna delete those faces, bridge these back together, and then append these holes closed, which does seem to fix the issue. It still doesn't smooth well, but it's also presumably not designed to, so that doesn't really matter. And it looks like the same kind of thing is happening up here, so I'm just gonna like delete that whole face and append that back together. And actually you'll notice, so if I smooth this again, so if I go into my append tool, I'll just hit G, because it's the last thing I used, you can kind of use it to find edges. So like if I click this, you can see that it's flagging this whole area as an unconnected edge that can be attached to. So that's telling me that for some reason there's like this whole edge isn't properly connected into itself, which doesn't really make a lot of sense to me because it seems like it should be, but you can see apparently the vertices are not connected together. So sometimes I sort of use the append polygon tool to find weird edge things like that. So that does seem to be helping. I'm just going to do one side at a time, so great. Alright, yeah, and then I would just go through and again, just append this. You can also actually do mesh fill hole, and that will just fill everything. I find it a little dangerous sometimes, so doesn't mean I don't do it, but I usually do it when I know where the holes are. Otherwise, it just feels like really what? Alright, it's always weird looking at a model that's not meant to be smooth and smoothing it, because sometimes it's just a little hard to tell what's happening. But I'm gonna go through here and just delete those. And actually, okay, so that's probably also what was happening over here. So you'll notice that when I delete these two faces, I was just gonna delete them and re-add them. It's a lot of times the simplest thing. You'll see that there's another plane inside here. Why? And that is some hardcore non-manifold stuff happening. So if I go and look in here, you can see that again, there's like a whole row of faces in here that shouldn't be there. So I'm just going to delete those, and that will fix all of the weird smoothing on the outside of the mesh. And it looks like that is also happening over here. So I'm just going to select. That was bad. All right. Select the row of those. And just, again, delete all of these faces. Maya does not get super happy if you have an edge, a single edge with more than two faces connecting to it. And that was basically what's happening here. So once you delete those faces, you should be good to go. And that is just a tiny stupid hole in the mesh, which I could close, but I'm not going to. And then this down here, so again, another sort of weird area where smoothing isn't quite happening. It looks like it's connected, but if you look at the topology, you can see that there's these two edges here that aren't really connected. They're not connected to this line. They look like they are. I can grab this and move it, and you'll see that this stays where it is. In this case, really simple fix. I'm just going to delete these. I'll do Control Delete, and that's going to get rid of the vertices on this area as well. So that now, if I smooth this, it should have connected back together, but it didn't. So I'm just going to, again, just do an append and just close all of that. Great. And same thing down here. I would hazard a guess, because I think I can see this weird face sticking out, that there is some extra geometry floating around. Ooh, hello. On the inside of this piece. Just want to delete that. And that. Ah, God, these things. Oh, I hate them. So this used to be like the bane of my existence when I first started modeling. You can see there's like a really weird face stretched between the two sides of this. So if I just, grab and just sort of marquee select over that, deselect this face, and just delete that, it'll deconnect the two sides. It looks like there's still some vertices that aren't connected right here, so if I do merge on them, yeah, so that fixes that. But yeah, I don't know how those weird faces get put in there. It seems like Maya just sort of does it randomly. I've actually opened my file before and just had it add them in like 5 places, which was horrifying. But yeah, so it seems like that's most of the mesh issues for this piece. It looks like there might possibly maybe be something here, except I think that might actually just be smoothing in an eccentric fashion, so that might be fine. Yeah. So the other thing you can also do to check your models is go through. Alright, so at this point I'm actually going to I'll show you the, assume that I fixed all of the errors and there's like a few holes I left. If you go to Mesh, Fill Hole, you can see like up here I added this little face in there. So that's basically just going to fill anything in with an n-gon. And then to fix any of these n-gons, like, or if you're booleaning stuff together at the end, just go to, go to Mesh, Cleanup, and do Cleanup Matching Polygons, faces with more than 4 sides, apply that, and you can see that I did that to a single face. Interesting. What are you doing, Maya? Well, it should be cleaning these, and it'll just sort of go through and tessellate any additional n-gons, but for some reason it's not doing that, and I feel like Maya's about to crash in 10 seconds. Feel it. I feel it crashing. Or not. Alright, so next piece, again, I'm just going to smooth it to see what's happening, and it doesn't look like there's anything... Okay, this is when I smoothed this area, I was like, what is this strange little pull in here? And this is something I actually see pretty commonly. I do it a lot if I'm not paying attention to what I'm doing. But basically, extrudes were done in here, and these extra little faces weren't gotten rid of. So you should be able to sort of go through and delete them. You'll see that there's some more down here. And if I smooth that, you'll notice it's still really janky. And that's because you have one stupid flat face right here. So I'm just going to grab that and delete that because I do not want that anywhere in my mesh. And again, just get rid of any of the extra edge loops so that the topology lines up a little bit better. And then you should be able to go through so many vertices. Okay. You should be able to, at that point, go through, select these, and just do a merge to center. And obviously I'm messing up the lines of this, but I don't care because this is not my model and I'm not using it for anything. So, do it better if you care. I don't, so yeah. Okay. So now, if I smooth that... Still looks terrible. Intriguing. Yeah. So this is like one of those things where, honestly, like if this were my model, I probably would just start over. I think it would be faster in the long run. Because it takes kind of a while half the time to fix this stuff. And it's, I feel like, yeah, so there's still more of those like stupid flat faces in there. I just sort of, sometimes I just start deleting things until I find errors, which is like the sketchiest way to do things. Alright, so in that case, I was like, if there's one on this side, there's probably one on this side, so I just selected over this entire area, deselected the large faces I knew were correct, and apparently that leaves me with this tiny stupid little thing, and if I delete that, then it fixes it. And then basically we just sort of keep going in that vein, make sure you go fill in like all of these areas. But again, I think that seems to be sort of prevalent, again, like right in here, and then, again, seal those again. It also looks like there's some extra sort of faces just kicking around there, and this actually might be a good candidate. So once that's done, if you look at this unsmooth versus smooth, those are really, really close together, so I should be able to hopefully do an edit mesh merge, maybe increase my tolerance to, ooh, hello. Okay, so this is just a really tiny model. But if I increase my tolerance to 001, ha! It does it, and then it'll seal stuff back together for you. Yeah, that, apart from the fact that I punched like 7 holes in this, probably is pretty decent for this model. But yeah, so I would probably just restart this. I think, honestly, it would be easier. But that's just me. And then I also say, like, when you restart stuff, it gives you the opportunity to... if you didn't like something with the topology the first time, you can fix it. You can also go through, like, as you're working and double check. Like, I always toggle between smooth and not smooth. Again, because smoothing mode sort of shows you some extra errors. So this one again, this looks like actually just a case of needing another line drawing through here. Because if I grab this vert, it's not connected. So that's, it looks like it is, but again, if you smooth it, it's kind of not. So I'm just going to go through and be like, insert edge loop. That was terrifying. I apologize for that. It has been a weird morning. I spent 2 hours burning myself unclogging my 3D printer, so now my fingers hurt and I'm out of it, so you get the sketchy videos today. Alright, so the front of this, and I've looked at this before, so I actually know what the issue is, but if I look at this, you can see it's kind of like some weird pulling, and it doesn't seem like there should be. If you go on the inside of this, you'll see that, again, there's another row of those like weird non-manifold faces that are connected in. So one edge with at least 3 or more faces will cause that kind of thing. So as soon as I delete them, it's moved a little bit better. There's also, so in this area here, there's, like, not that it's hurting anything per se, but, like, it's just extra edge loops. So personally I would go through and delete them, just because I like having, nice edge flow in quads. As soon as you get tries, stuff starts smooth and really weird. So, like, again, personally, I'd probably get rid of some of them. But yeah, you can also, there's a cool thing. So I can't, and this is actually why I don't like tries. If I double click on this, like here, I can select this whole loop. If I double click this, you can see I only get that one edge, and that is because that there is a bunch of tries here. But you can actually, if this needs to be circular, there's a circularize button. So I'm just going to grab all these loops and then just sort of circularize them. If it's supposed to be a perfect circle, it's a really easy way to get it on a flat surface. Other thing that can be done, and this might take me a hot minute here. So if I delete those, I can select this as an actual loop. So I'm just, ooh, hello. Don't hate that as a solution, actually. But I was going to say, so if you're like extruding in on a flat surface, you can just sort of circularize it and then keep going. But anywho, so that seems to pretty much do it for that piece. There's a few, again, like, whatever weird stuff is happening here. Actually. Alright, so the fact that I click this, and if I double click on the one right next to it, it should select this loop. That's selecting the whole thing, tells me that these are probably not connected. Because, yes, on the other side I had merged these vertices, and on this side I did not. If you work in symmetry, you probably won't have half these issues. Either way, I think I'm just gonna... I don't know why it's being so difficult. Yeah, this is like another one of those weird ones where I'm just like, it's not behaving in the way I expect. I'm just gonna sort of cheat, delete the faces, and do an edit mesh bridge. Hooray, now they're fixed, great. And then, again, do that on this side. That seems pretty good for that bit. This bit actually doesn't seem horribly broken. It's super subdivided, but otherwise unbroken. Weird. So this is like a weird floating flat face. Don't know where that came from, but it doesn't need to be there, so I'm getting rid of that. Oh, it's actually a good demo of, if you go mesh, fill hole, it'll process for a second, and yeah, my eyes cursed. I actually did just notice that there is one of those stupid little flat faces here, so I'm just gonna select over that, deselect these guys, and you can sort of see that it's like selected like the tiniest little sliver of something. So I'm gonna grab this other sliver of something, just delete those. So now that they will not be there. Usually if I need to close holes, I'll just do an extrude and then a merge to center. Alright, great. And now that is ready to go. So, and then again, just toggling back and forth between smooth and unsmooth, and this piece seems okay. Yeah, I think it's just smooth and weird because it's not meant to be smooth. But yeah, so that's like a lot of the sort of common stuff, or like how I go through and sort of troubleshoot models. A lot of times it is just me doing some pretty hardcore crapshooty nonsense, just sort of poking around and looking at stuff. Things I see most are, again, like flat faces, vertices that look like they're connected together but aren't, and extra edges, sort of non-manifold edges where you have one edge with three faces coming out of it. Hopefully that was helpful, at least to the person that made that. Anyone else watching this, maybe you got something out of it, and thanks for sticking around to the end. If you did, have a lovely day.